call from
Alejandro Romero.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, Alejandro.
Yes.
How are you doing
How you
today?
doing, Jeff? I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking.
All right, I'm doing pretty good myself too. I want to go ahead and welcome you back to You Have a Collect Call From. Famous words that everybody should be, or at least anybody that has any incarcerated family members, loved ones, friends, and family. Pretty notorious prompt that you get before you pick up a phone call. And at least now they're making them a lot more affordable, because before, man, the calls were expensive before what they used to be like I think from like in LA County they were like a quarter a minute or something, man. So if you had like $10, you had like that was like a 10-minute phone call.
Yeah, no, I remember back in the days, very rare did I get any calls myself. Everybody was scared of the phone bill, man. Unless you got a burner, like back in the days we used to have the false information. You get somebody just random hookups and hook up a fake line, and because you knew you didn't have to pay you ran up the bill for a month and then just got it disconnected, and you never paid it.
Man, you know what? I got a funny story. It wasn't about a burnout account, but I remember that one of the last times I hit the Glass House right there in downtown LA, Parker Center.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is it Linwood? The Glass House?
Oh no, the Glass House. It's Parker Center is the main one of the LAPD headquarters, which is right there in downtown LA.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
and there was a dude there, and he called his wife, and his wife had a prepaid phone. This was like in 2000. I would say like 2000, 2001. Cell phones weren't really that common. That many people having them.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And then so his wife had a prepaid phone, and he called her, and she was able to accept the phone call, and it was a prepaid phone call. And I was like, what? I was amazed. So once I found that out, I started making phone calls. I was like, hey, add time to the. I mean, even though like a prepaid phone was really expensive, per the minute, but it was cheaper than actually. It was cheaper than accepting the prepaid phone call and getting the bill.
Yeah.
But then they figured it out.
You know what? I didn't know. In those times, I didn't know about I didn't know that about the prepaid, that you were able to do that. To be honest.
Yeah, no, you know what? I don't think a lot of people did know, just because at that time I don't really recall a lot of people having like cell phones, because like cell phones were expensive back then, and if you had a plan, it was even more expensive. So you had to sign up with like a gimmick. You remember? So like I think Sprint back then, they had like the first minute of the phone call was free. Or if you wanted to receive phone calls like for free, you would have to either call Monday through Friday after 9 p.m. or before 7 a.m. So they had gimmicks like that, and that's the only really way that you would be able to.
I remember.
Yeah. So it was, times were different back then.
You had to be a baller back in those days to have a cell phone. I think that's when the ending of the pager era.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
The cell phones started coming through.
Man, yeah, we're going way back on the pagers, man. I think my last pager I had was like in '97.
Yeah, that's about the same time. You don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 42.
Okay. Yeah, you're up there with me. I'm just a couple of years older than you.
Yeah, but a lot of my friends, they were a little bit older, so we they brought that stuff in, like the pagers and stuff, and then the younger homies were able to also jump on that too. We would look for the for like the deals. I think it would be like $20 for like 3 months or something. We used to go down to Melrose and pay for I think it was like that, like $20 for like 3 months or 2 months or something like that. And then you remember the little codes
Yeah.
you used to
The
put.
others is yeah. There was all kinds of codes you could do. You were able to print out the I love you, the babes, the 911 calls, the 69. There were all kind of codes that everybody used to use.
Yeah. And you know what? It's a trip too because a lot of people get caught slipping like that. You would be like in a different part of town, and you would get a page, and then you didn't have a phone, so you would have to pull over, and some of these areas were really hot, and if you weren't
Yeah.
too familiar, a lot of dudes got caught slipping like that. They
Yeah.
didn't see it coming. They're on that phone,
Yeah.
and they got it.
Especially in the 90s. The 90s was, I do believe those who have lived through the 90s and into the 2000s, most of us will agree that those were like the most dangerous gangbanging times, At least, I believe.
It was, and I didn't even gangbang, so for and but I lived in these areas. Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, if you just had that look on any type of like uh, just resemblance to that you fucked around in some kind of way, yeah, if they saw you, they were going to trip on you.
oh yeah, definitely. And we had that look. We were on the bandwagon. With the Frisco Benz 50s
Yeah,
with the white T-shirt, shaved
yeah,
head, and
yeah,
and
uh-huh.
yeah, man. So we were always getting hit up like, hey, like where you from? Hey, we don't gang, man. Like lift up your shirt, like oh, damn, homie, like all right, like the fools would be strapped
Yeah,
up. I remember this one time
yeah,
we were right there off of Normandy and Merrill's, and we were waiting on the bus, because
okay,
that was our main way to get around the city, and
yeah,
these dudes pulled up on us and they jumped out of the car and they're like, "Hey, where you from?" They ran up on my homie because my homie was a little bit older, so he looked a little bit more gangster. And then my boy told him like that he didn't gangbang, and one of those fools tried to take off on him, and my homie started going heads up with that fool. And then I ran
yeah,
over there, and then when I got over the other dude, because it was two of them, the other dude took off on me, and we're over there scuffing it
yeah,
around and whatever. My homeboy's
yeah,
lady was across the street and she started screaming like no no, and she's over there like crying and stuff. So finally these fools, they got off of my homie and me, and they ended up taking off. And then a few days later, it was like a weekend. It was either like I think it was like a Saturday, and we were on the same corner but on the other side, on the Merrill side, and we're waiting for the bus. And then I see that same car pull up on us, and the dude
oh,
and then there was three of them. There was two dudes in the front. There was one dude in the back, and then the dude in the back pops up, and then that fool pops out a Tech 9, and I was like, oh
oh,
shit. And then I was with
yeah,
two of my other homies. They got white as a sheet, and I was like, damn, this is it.
yeah,
And then those fools were like, don't even trip, we're not here for you. Because when that whole incident happened, that the few days before, we had told them that we didn't gangbang. We were into vandalizing. We were taggers. And then
yeah,
so then that fool was like, nah, don't even trip you. We're not here for you. We're here for somebody else, for that local neighborhood right there. And
oh,
sure enough, they took off. And when we got home later on in the night, my homie's mom was like, hey, andaban balaseando allá. And then she was
yeah,
she was all worried, estaba preocupada. And and
yeah,
uh and then yeah, those fools they handled that night, and probably somebody got it and they didn't make it.
yeah. Hey, but you know what? It's a trip that you mentioned that how one day you're throwing putazos, and then the next day the same fools pulled up with straps. That's what I loved about the '90s, that it wasn't just about shooting, like now it is nowadays. Nowadays, it's you don't see it like it was back in the days. Before you went up on your enemy, a lot of times there was a lot of shooting. Don't get me wrong, and a lot of killing, but there was still a lot of fighting. There was a lot of like man, like standing up, standing your ground, like fist fighting in the middle of the street. And even if you were getting jumped, yeah, I mean 2 on 3, 3 on 4 on 1, or whatever it was. I mean, it was still more chances, or that you were going to live through to see another day. You know what I mean? Nowadays, it's like they're just shooting just to shoot. They're not even saying nothing, and that's what I loved about the '90s. There was still there was a mixture of everything. Shooting, fighting, jumping. knives, like a lot of knives were used in those days. So, so at least you know that there was greater odds of you seeing another day. Eh?
Absolutely, yeah. Like in my crowd, or like the stuff that was going on around me, like within the, the tiger community or the vandal community. A lot of dudes were carrying the pepper spray was big. A lot of dudes would carry pepper sprays around, and
Yeah,
I'm guilty of that. It's mandatory. I leave my house. I
yeah,
gotta. I used to come up on these they weren't even pepper spray. These were O2. They were the bear mace. I used to get them at Sport Chalet. It was like this big cylinder, like the ones that Hudas got right there in
yeah,
prison. I used to carry one of those around, man,
yeah.
like that.
The big cylinder was.
Yeah, I remember one time I sprayed this dude I was hitting up on a bench, and this fool came, like he was a regular dude. He was older, and that fool I was tagging on the bench, and this dude came, and he like straight like just put his foot all over it. He smeared my tag up, and I was like, what? Oh hell no!
Wow.
I popped out that can of mace. I unloaded that thing on him. His face was orange by the time I finished, and
That's right. They used to stain you orange. That's right.
yeah, it was straight orange. I was like, oh shit. And then this fool was coughing. Like he had a briefcase. I don't know if he was gonna work or something, but his day got ruined that day. And he
Yeah,
tried to cover his face with that briefcase, but it was already too late. And then the first thing that kicked in, I was like, oh man, I started panicking. I was like, fuck, what about if this fool dies? Because this fool was a little bit older. I was maybe like 19,
yeah,
20, and I just let this fool have it. And then I left evidence there. I left my tag there. Like they're gonna find out who did it if this fool dies. And man, I shook, I
yeah,
bounced, man. Like I had this jersey, I had this New York jersey on, and it was a trip because it was a reversible jersey. So like one side was blue, and then you could take it up and reverse it, and the other side would be yellow. So I shook
right.
really quick, and I reversed my jersey, and I was like, man, hopefully I don't get caught up for this, because I was already in 18, 19. I was gonna hit county over. That was easily an assault,
Yeah,
assault maybe with a deadly weight. I'm not sure how they'll
yeah,
categorize it,
yeah.
but it wasn't gonna be looking too good for me. But luckily, and it didn't catch up with me, and I was able to
Yeah,
avoid that case. Yeah,
the whole situation. Yeah, you know, at the moment in time, those sprays they choke you up. They really do. I don't know if you ever been hit with one of those with the spray, but they choke you up, and it's like it take a couple minutes, but for the most part, I mean, maybe if someone had asthma, maybe or something, that I could see them like probably like it doing more damage to them, but for the most part, yeah, I mean, like um, people survive them things, eh?
yeah, yeah. No,
But
I've never had the luck to actually get sprayed. I've sprayed a few people, but even though like if you don't get directly sprayed, you're still gonna catch some residual.
yeah, the
The
surroundings,
wind
yeah,
is gonna blow it back, and then
yeah,
I like at that time I would wear contacts, so by just taking off the contacts, and then I'll put on my contacts the next day, and I would still feel it, and it would be on my contacts for the next few days before it actually wore off.
yeah, yeah. That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I remember like it was pepper sprays, hammers. Hammers was very popular. I remember a lot of dudes walking around with alcancillas, like little spots on their head, where they got cracked with hammers,
Oh
screwdrivers.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
The just random sticks that they find on the floor and bats. The those little mini bats.
yeah.
Those were big too.
Oh, the Dodger bats. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember this one time
I used to get.
I got into it with some dudes up in like off of Western and Sunset, and these dudes were a lot bigger than me. So I was like, man, like I don't have any weapons on me. I'm like a deer in headlights right here, and I just happened to be like by a gasoline
You
station,
have 60 seconds remaining.
and in this area, in this gasoline station, they would have like these big ladrillos, and I threw it on the floor, cracked it, and I started chasing those fools, and then they're like, oh shit, this fool, he got the upper hand now, and these fools, you see these fat dudes were running away from me, and I'm like little, like wearing like
Uh,
120 pounds with a big ladrillo in my hand.
yeah,
All right, so
yeah. Hey, Larry, one other.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So met somebody else, eh?
yeah, and luckily,
Treat
I
them
didn't,
proper. Shit.
I didn't end up hitting them because, man, like YA, from what I hear now, I mean, and even back then, it was horrible. But now all the stories that are coming
Oh
out, I'm like,
yeah,
man, like luckily I didn't hurt nobody and end up in that place because it would have been
yeah,
all bad.
yeah. YA was a place everybody was trying to avoid to go. That's a fact.
Yeah, I know.
All
I
right.
know. I know.
Let,
I know it's about to hang up. If you want to go ahead and give me a call back, it's like
yeah.
that. We don't get cut off in the middle of the conversation. All right. So for anybody that's joining us live right now, we're about to get into his story right now. We started off on, I think, Monday on his journey to a life sentence, and we're about to go ahead and get into it. If you have any quick questions, feel free to go ahead and drop them in the chat, and I'll go ahead and read them off to him, and then we're about to go ahead and get this started.
This call is now being
This is
recorded.
Global Tel-Link. You have a prepaid call from
Alejandro Romero.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
All right, Alejandro, thank you. I appreciate you calling me back. And then I know we digress from your story, but we could go ahead and move forward with that. If not, we'll be talking about like these old high school stories
Yeah,
all night.
yeah. They could go on. Those stories go on for days, hours.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So the last time we spoke, you had absconded, and I believe you had a pending GTA case, and you had got
Yeah.
picked up, and I believe
No.
you
Well, I actually I had gotten out from the vehicle theft. I got off doing a vehicle theft, and then I got out, and then the crime that I got busted for right now, this first degree murder. That's when it occurred, and because I barely had gotten out at the joint, and I was on parole, they got our fingerprints in a file, and I had touched everywhere on the crime scene where this had occurred. So I thought that that my fingerprints were gonna get found. I thought that they were gonna find out I was involved, and that they were gonna go looking for me at my house. So I ended up absconding. I took off to TJ for a few months. I lived out there for I want to say for about like 6 months, at least 6 months. It seemed like forever because you live out in TJ, and uh, anybody that's been over there, they know it's a rough life over there, especially like you don't got money. I went with a little bit of money at first, but it ran out quick, and then I had to work. I started working over there, and it's crazy because you know how a lot of Mexicans come over here and they get discriminated, you know. And I say this because I lived it firsthand. Both my parents are they were legal aliens in this country, so they got legalized and everything. But just how a lot of raza get treated right here, I got treated over there. I was looking for jobs, and they were asking for my documents, and because I wasn't born over there, they were like, "Oh no, we can't hire you. You're illegal." I was like, "What are you talking about?" You know what I mean? Like, I speak English. I mean, I work. I'm willing to work. Like, what is there? Oh, well, you gotta go here, and so they were telling me all kind of crazy things I had to go get for me to get hired. So I ended up working in the Revolucion for cents. I believe I was getting 75 cents. I mean, 75 pesos a night, which in those days um, was a dollar was I think 10 pesos, 9 pesos. And so I was making like 5 6 bucks a night, you know, and barely to eat the next day. Uh, so I ended up coming back, and that's when I got arrested. I ended up I lasted, I believe, when I came back, I lasted about 6 months before I got pulled over for something. I forgot what it was, and they ran my name and found out that I was absconding, and I went back to prison for a violation. I think I did. I had got in a year for the violation because they caught me with paraphernalia, absconding, and remember I told you that the dirty test that my parole officer was going to one day use on me.
Yeah, you
He
sure
threw
do.
it in there. Yeah, and that's when I and actually that was my last prison term till now. Eh, I got out, and yeah, I did after I got out that time, I did the family thing for a few years till I got busted for this.
So the murder case that you caught had happened years before, and it finally caught up to you years later. Is that what happened?
Yeah, yeah, I got caught 10 years after.
So pretty much it was a cold case then at that time, and somehow
Yeah,
they were able to piece it together, or somebody said something, and here we are now.
yes, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happened. I was already married. I had my wife. I had my kids, and that's what I think that's what made it hurt the most, eh? Because well, I mean, besides the fact that I was facing life, because man, anybody that has done time on like we're used to the fact of getting busted for whatever it is, um, and the court process and not whatnot, everything it's familiar to us. But when you go to court for that first time and it really sinks in the fact that you're fighting like a life case, it's a whole different ordeal. Eh? It's a whole different. You're in a whole different ballpark. You're in a whole different state of mind. It's like getting like your wind knocked out of you. You know what I mean? Because any other case, you know that okay, I'm gonna do a little
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
do my little bullshit time and get out. Because you know you're gonna get out. You know you have a date. But when you're fighting life, it's a whole different thing, eh?
So during this time, so like I'm assuming like the years are passing here. The first year, the second year, the third year, and you're at the 5 year mark. You at this point, are you worried about it, or have you're like, man, like I'm good, like like hey, this is not gonna come back to me.
Well, look, when you gangbang on, we always do dirt on. We've always done dirt, and you always know that something's always gonna catch up. Eh? You know what I mean? And um, so things that you've done in your past are always in the back of your mind. They never go away. Even as the years pass, like at the 5 year mark, I could say I was starting to get comfortable at that time about it, being more at peace with it. Like still there, don't get me wrong. It always crossed my mind, and but I was still like because nothing had caught up, and I was living life. I was you know taking care of my family. It never occurred to me. It never occurred. I thought that it was behind me now. You know what I mean? 6 year comes 7 years. You know what I mean? And as time goes, it's like you get a little bit more comfortable. Never left my mind because, like I said, we what you do in your lifetime, it's all stored in your mind. You know what I mean? Memories, bad memories, good memories, whatever it is. they're all stored in your mind, and there's always those memories that are always pricking at you, reminding you little things that happen, or little comments, or persons that you see that might bring them up, and that moment in time when you remember it, you get that little unsettling feeling, but life continues, and that moment passes, and yeah, I never thought. I actually thought in those years, I could say at the fifth, 6 year mark, I actually thought that it was behind me. I didn't think that it was going to catch up, and it did.
So can you take us through the day that the police come knocking on your door, or pull you over, or however the events transpired of them taking you into custody?
Okay. It was. I used to work in construction out there, general construction, but I knew a little bit of everything. Um, but I mainly worked in painting and drywall, texture, that sort. And I finally had landed a good job. I was in a foreman position, and actually, no, I had started. I had been working in a company for as a foreman for a while, right? And I custom family-owned company that specialized on custom painting or custom work um, hired me, and I was kind of like in training to get a feel of how they work to take on like a foreman position. And I used to get my side jobs on the weekends and whatnot. I was doing good. I was supporting a point in my life that I was doing real good, man. I had my family. I mean, I wasn't like in the best of luxuries, but I used to be able to maintain my family. And at the time, I had three kids. My oldest at the time was 6. My second was 4, and my youngest was 2 years old. Well, not even 2 years old. He was about to be 2 years old. And my crimey, which not a lot of people know, um, but I mean, if anybody will look up my name, it pops up in the computer. You know, my crimey is one of my family members, and they arrested my crimey first, which at the time when they went to my house to pick her up because she had my address had some mailing address. So when her name popped up, um, my address,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
they went and to look for her in at my pad, and they she was there. Unfortunately, well, lucky that she was there that day. When I do believe that she wasn't even living with us. She just had it as a mailing address. Um, but nonetheless, the marshals, U.S. marshals, go look for her, and they arrest her because my crime is my sister, um, and they take her in, and she tells everything. So when they take her in, my wife calls me and all kind of like worried and tells me, "Hey, they took your sister. Um, she they came, some detectives came and took her. They didn't want to tell us what it was for, and I thought it was my sister's parole agent or probation officer." And I told them, "I don't worry about it. She probably fucked up in something, and it's just for that." About 2 hours later, my wife calls me again and tells me the same people that came and picked up your sister are asking for you. I was all like, what? So at this moment, when it happens, when she tells me that, I get this suddenly like this on the pit of my stomach, this feeling like it. I knew it at the moment in time. I knew it. I can't deny it. I could sit here because my wife. I remember her asking me, "What is this about?" And I told her, "I don't know." but I knew, and that was a big mistake on my behalf because my wife, being my life partner, I should have been upfront with her from the gate. But these are things that you don't think that it's gonna catch up in. You know what I mean? Like I thought, like if I tell her, it's gonna unsettle her. You know what I mean? So because I did, the thought did cross through my mind of telling her, but um, I didn't because I figured, well, nothing has came out of it, so most likely nothing's gonna come out of it. So if I tell her, like I don't want her to see me in a different type of light, that she's married to this murderer or this killer, you know what I mean?
You have 60 seconds remaining.
She tell me that they're looking for me and that they wanted to talk to me. So I get on the phone. I come put them on the phone, and the U.S. Marshal tells me this way out story. Um, should I just call you back before it ends up cutting us off?
Yeah, please do so. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, and if you're just joining us right now, we're actually live right now, so he will be calling me back shortly, and we'll go ahead and continue with the podcast. And just go ahead and feel free. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. And as soon as we get a moment, I'll go ahead and read out those questions um, off to Alejandro, and he'll go ahead and answer them. And we're gonna be on here for about, I would say, at least another hour. So I'm pretty sure during that time, if you do stick around, you'll have some thoughts, and you could go ahead and either, it doesn't even necessarily need to be questions. If you have a comment that you want me to read off, then go ahead. As long as it's within good taste, then I'll go ahead and read it off. I don't have a problem with that. And give me a moment.
This call is now being recorded.
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Alejandro Romero.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Okay, Alejandro, the mic's all you. All you.
Okay. Okay, so she tells me that they want to talk to me, so I thought, okay, put them on the phone. So the U.S. Marshals tell me this way fabricated story, telling me that this whole deal had to do with that they had gotten reports about we were selling drugs, supposedly selling drugs out of the house, and that they needed to talk to me. That if I didn't go down to talk to them, that they were going to call CPS and they were going to take our kids, and same things that tactics that they use on everybody. So we comply. And I'm at work, so now I knew what it was for. Like I said, but something deep down like told me like maybe it can't, maybe it's not. You know what I mean? I was trying to like maybe fool myself, but in the same time I was like trying to like convince myself not to go, just to grab my shit and leave. You know what I mean? But when you have a family, it's no longer about yourself. You know what I mean? I was thinking, now I started thinking about my kids, and would it be fair for me to just pick them up and take them wherever I was going to go and have them going through it along with myself, or just leave them and leave myself. And so every scenario I played in my mind, it turned out to be unfair to them, you know. And even though
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded,
and turn myself in, it was still unfair to them because what was about to happen was over a decision and actions that I took when they weren't even in the picture. They weren't even in our thoughts of being conceived. I hadn't even met my wife, their mother, so So I just went ahead and went and I talked to them. And when I did, um, they just grabbed me and turned around, did the whole thing. You're, they told me you're not under arrest, but we are having you. We gotta take you to talk to some people. They have somebody needs the detectives need to talk to you. So they handcuffed me. I remember when I went to see them, it wasn't at my house. They had told me to meet them at this place, and so when I went to my house, my wife did not want me to go by myself. She said that I'll go with you because she wanted after she was thinking that we were going to talk to them and we were going to be on our way. When in my I already knew that the moment that I went to talk to them, I was not going to come home anymore. I was going to get busted. I was going to get locked up. So she said, "Oh, well, I'll go with you when we're done. We'll go do this. We gotta go. I think we're going to do some grocery shopping. I'm not too sure exactly what was that we were planning on doing at that time." So I said, "Okay, okay, let's go." So she gets in the car, and one of my kids was with us. The other ones were in school, and my youngest was with us. And so we go, and when they handcuff me, my wife has like this because my wife is she's crazy, eh? She's a brawler, she's a fighter, she's one like any typical Mexicana, yeah, I mean, or Chicana. Uh, she starts talking shit to the to the cops, throwing her phones at them, and but the whole scenario, what broke my heart the most, and what like engraved itself into my memory was my son, because he was in the back seat, and he I guess my wife had taken him off out of his seat, but when I look back to his direction to the car, direction of the car, like I see him looking over the back seat through the back window, and like with this expression on his face, like confusion. I don't know, like it was like a face of confusion and maybe scared. But I will never forget that look. Eh? And well, yeah, I ended up getting they took me in and interrogated me. They interrogated me in the Santa Ana police station. And when I wouldn't tell them nothing, that's when they finally the cop told me, "Okay, well, bottom line, you are under arrest for first-degree murder." And man, that's what that feeling I tell you were. It felt like the air was being like taken out of me. Eh? Like, it's a hard feeling to explain. Um, any other charge, when you get busted for anything else, it's like whatever. But when you get busted for murder, it's not easy something easy to take in, especially when you already thought you were done with prison.
So let me ask you, do you mind getting into the details on the murder?
I mean, it's already out. I'm already convicted. It's already out there. No, I have no problem.
So let's go back then, 10 years before. Um, what kind of life were you living at that point, and what happened? Like, what transpired the day that this incident happened?
Um, it was a home invasion gone wrong. We were the plan of it all was to rob a connect, but it ended up like going all bad. Um, at the time, I was 20 years old, and I was still in the gang banging lifestyle. Uh, doing that type of I mean I used to I have been busted for robbery before. You know, it was a common thing in the gangbanging life. But I was never into the robbing connect scheme because you rob the wrong person and it's it's over for you. I mean the people working for certain people and could be turning it turns out bad for you. So it was never my scene or my type of thing to do. I was more into I got into gangbanging because I actually enjoyed the gangbanging, the partying, the fucking the women, the drugs, the shooting, the getting shot at, everything, the whole package. That was my thing. I was um, what's that word I'm trying to use? I was invested in the neighborhood I was from, and so when that got brought to my attention to go do this hale, I really didn't want to do it. It my crime or my sister had to convince me, almost begged me to go and do it, and I ended up doing it because of her, because who was asking me to do it, and and I'm not gonna lie, when they told me that the amount of money we were expected to get out of it, I mean that kind of helped me uh, to to go to it, right? So we ended up doing it. We ended up going. Uh, so the idea was to go rob a connect, come up on few $100,000 and some drugs, and that's the whole reason why I ended up doing it.
And after all these years had passed, and it was pretty much a cold case, how was it that you or your sister were linked back to this case?
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
The advancements of science, the evolution of science was that got us caught up because when when um, when the crime happened, um, well, we went in there posing as fruit salesmen, right? We even had a little bag of fruit, and we did this because most safe houses or most connect houses, they don't just open the door just to random people, you know, and so we got a bag of fruit, and we went we knocked on the door and posed as that we were selling fruit, and when they didn't want to buy fruit, right? My sister told them, "Oh, well, we're selling gold chains. We got gold too, and we got this to sell too." And that kind of caught their attention because they were like, "Oh, well, let me see what you got." And when she told me, "Hey, go get the chains to show them," that was like our um, like the kind of like the go ahead kind of fucking word, you know. She told me, when I tell you if they bite, I'm going to say this, and then that's it. That's when we're going to push in. So it happened, um, and we go in. This person, and mind that it was supposed to be only the connect. That's where it all went all wrong. The moment that we found out that there were all these people were in the house, which they weren't supposed to. There was supposed to be only like two houses. The person that planned it out, that gave us the scheme of it, um, gave us all information wrong. It went all wrong from the beginning. And with it like that, we should have known. We should have backed up because he was start off wrong, ends up wrong. And when it when they started playing out all bad, we should have pulled out, and we didn't. But since we already had started, it's kind of like you don't just stop at the middle of it, you know. So we just continue, and the victim that ended up getting killed that day, he didn't. He ended up getting loose from his ties after because we went in there to tie everybody, and when this when this fool broke free, he went and tried to he tried to rush me, right? And in the process of the whole thing, well, um, he ended up getting shot and killed. Right? We take off, and um, that's when we ended up going to a hotel, and at the end of the day, because of how everything played off, and because I was on parole, that's when I decided to go to TJ. That's where the going to TJ came into place.
Let me ask you, prior to you going ahead and doing this robbery or attempting to do a robbery, what kind of planning did you do, and how were you dressed?
Nothing.
So a la brava.
There was no.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
It was just because it was, prior to that I had, like I said, that wasn't my MO. You know what I mean? I wasn't into doing that. But anybody that done handle like that, they know it's because it's a connect. There's not going to be cops involved. You know what I mean? Unless there's a body at the end. But yeah, I mean, it's like you rob a connect. What are they gonna do? Call the cops? Tell them, hey, they just robbed me for my drugs and my money. You know what I mean? So it was supposed to just one bam, thank you, man. Go in there, fucking find the money, take the drugs, and be on our way. There was no planning. Um, well, it's about to cut off. Let me call you back.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And for our listeners out there, thank you for joining. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and drop them in the live chat, and I'll go ahead and read up the questions. And this call is actually live right now, so he should be calling me back shortly. And once he calls me back, I'll go ahead and connect the call, and we'll continue with this interview. If you're just getting in right now, he was just walking us through the day that he committed a murder. It was originally a robbery, trying to rob the Connect, and it didn't work out the way he had it planned out.
This call is now being recorded.
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Alejandro Romero.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Okay, thank you for calling me back, Alejandro. So on the right now, before the call cut off, were you still going to continue with the story? Or
I was saying, okay, so we didn't do no planning. We went there with the idea of it was to go in there, get the drugs and money, and be on our way. And we didn't. I went. I remember. I went. The only thing that I went dressed casual. There wasn't I didn't go banged out, but because I was bald headed and I had tattoos on my head. What I did, I put on a hat to cover my tattoo. I put on a baseball cap. But that was it. I really didn't use I didn't try to use anything to cover my face because, like I said, DOA was okay. Well, it's a connect, so they're not gonna call the cops. My sister was there dressed casual. there was really like no planning. There was no planning at all. The only thing that was said to me the night before, because this was when it was brought up to my attention, was the night before. Uh, and I wasn't supposed to go. They already had their little crew, but they included me because, or they asked me because one of them had something came up and he couldn't go, or I think he had gotten busted. The person, one of the fools that were going to go, got busted, and they needed individual to go, and well, my sister, being my sister, because she trusted me and she knew that I was like I had the balls to do it. That's why she asked me to go with her, you know. But there was no planning. There was nothing like to say, okay, I mean, we were giving some information, like, okay, there is supposed to be only 3 people or 4 at the most. Um, the dope and the money is all going to be in this room. You go upstairs in the right, what you will, whatever. But that was it. There was nothing that to say, and that, okay, that we had a structure and that there was a master plan. Nah, there was none of that. And then on top of that, like the following day when we were about to go, the driver that was supposed to go with us didn't go either, didn't show up. And that's where I told you, like, everything that starts out bad ends up bad. So when all this was going bad, there was all kinds of signs. And, I didn't really want to do it. I didn't, because, like I said, that wasn't my thing. But it being my sister, I didn't want to let her down. And that's why we ended up doing this. But I really, like, in my mind, I was fighting it, like, but I'm like 20 years old and shit, and at that time when you're gambling, our reputation is all that we care about. What we're about, what you've done, what you do, what you're willing to do. So I think that's what got me to, like, just say, fuck it, we're just gonna do it. Like, we just do it. I didn't want to seem like a little pussy or something, at the last moment, telling her, no, I don't want to do it. I think that's where I went wrong.
Okay, and then I do have a question from the audience here. But before I ask the question, I want to ask you one other question, and then we'll go ahead and ask you the question from the audience. So you said that oh, hold on, no, I got one. How much money did you come up on?
Nothing. Because of what happened, we ended up just phoning out. But we were supposed to come up on 100,000. And when the news, because it came out on the news at the 6 o'clock news, they have found a dope and like $102,000 in the house. But because how it played out, we didn't have the time to, like, go up there, and I mean, we gave a quick search, but not what we were supposed to. Like, we were supposed to be able to be in there with enough time, because everybody was going to be tied up. We were supposed to take our time, make sure that we fucking looked in the walls even, because that's what the master guy told us, you guys got to look into the walls as well, break walls, the dry walls you have to, because there's such stashes that you got to find. You're going to have to, like, take your time till you find it. The money's there, he said. The money's going to be there. But, yeah, we didn't come out with nothing.
Okay, and the question we have from the audience here is Digler_Bolin is asking,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
he wants to know if you've ever run into any. So the audience is asking a question. They want to know if you've ever run into anybody from Baldwin Park. Baldwin Park. Baldwin Park.
Baldwin Park is the east side and north side one, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I ran into a grip of them fools. Well, not a grip, but I've run into a few of them. I have a couple of good friends from there.
And then I have another question from Aquatic Amigo, and he's asking, he wants to know if you've ever been locked up with anybody from Pacoima.
Yeah, Pacas is deep, eh? Everywhere you go, you find food from Pacas, from the Nams, and I forget which other one they, but there's a couple of Pacas, eh?
At the Project Boys, no, but that's a big one too, no.
Yeah, there's Project Boys too. Yeah, the Latin times, I think, and yeah, there's a group of Pacas, eh? One, two, I could think of just like off the top of my head. There's like in this building. There's like maybe like 3 or 4 of them.
All right, thank you, and we'll go ahead and continue with the interview here. So, you mentioned earlier on that you were discovered or you were able to be traced back to the crime scene due to advancement in science.
Oh yeah, yes. Well, okay, that was a question. I knew there was a point to the question that asked me, but I got caught up in the story that I forgot what was the question you had asked, and I just went along with it. But yeah, what was that 10 years after the fact, right? My crime gets arrested for, but I want to say maybe the third or fourth DUI, and in those times, that your DNA sample was not mandatory like it is now. Now you get busted and right away they're taking your DNA sample to be able to put it on the system on file. They take your fingerprints. Fingerprints have always been on file though, but in the times that I got busted, um, the court system, what they will do to get your DNA sample, they'll if you get busted for like any type of crime, they would throw felonies automatically. If you were going to do like time for felonies, they automatically take it. Once you call upstate, they were going to take your DNA. But if you weren't going to do state time, you were going to do county time. They'll always throw like little bogus deals at you to reel you in. You know what I mean? Like say like for example, my crime got busted for DUI. Right? She was looking up to at least a year in county jail, if not state time, because the amount of DUIs that she had. And so she wouldn't do time. Right? She had been busted for 30 days, I believe already, and they offered her a deal. So they will give you time served. Of course, you're gonna do your AA classes and your math classes and pay the fine. And in between that deal, she got offered. Was for her to submit her DNA sample, and like a sucker, she went for it. And so she goes home, but because of that DNA sample, the day of the crime happened. I told you that we had bags. She had a purse with her to begin with, and we had bags of plastic bags of fruit. Well, in one of those bags that she was carrying, because she left it behind, when we left in such a hurry because of like the shots that were let off, and the other homes that were around, automatically that you shoot, people are going to call the cops, and so now we're pressed with time, and trying to leave in such a rush, she grabbed the bag with the fruit, and she grabbed the purse that she had taken. But the purse that she grabbed was one of the purses of one of the females that was in the house. And so she left that purse that she had with her, that she went in with, there at the crime scene. Well, out of that purse, because up to this day, I do not know why is it that they didn't get my fingerprints out of it, because they did not get my fingerprints out because if they would have got my fingerprints, they would have arrested me right away. Like when I got interrogated, the detective thought I was in 88 and told me, "Oh well, we got your fingerprint." I was all like, "Man, miss me with that shit because if you did, I would have been arrested 10 years ago. I wouldn't have been arrested right now. So you're not talking to a dumbass. Yeah, I mean, miss me with that shit, you know." But it was the bag that my family left behind had, I guess, her DNA on it, maybe from her sweat, I think, the sweat from her hand. They swabbed it. They found DNA in the bag, and they put it on file. You know what I mean? Because they didn't already have her DNA on file. They couldn't match it. So mind that back in '99 they didn't have all these advanced science that they have now. You know what I mean? So when she gets busted for the DUI and they put her DNA sample into the database, it automatically runs trying to match the DNA with all the DNA samples they have in file. 3 months later, I guess, like, they have so many DNA samples in on file that it took about 3 months, 2 3 months for it to do a match, and that's when finally it did the match. Put her on the crime scene of 1999. Bam, they go arrest her. They put out a warrant for her arrest. U.S. Marshals go pick her up, and that's how it caught up to us. Over not wanting to do a miserable few months in jail, we ended up getting 25 to life.
So they pick you up. You're being interrogated. Do you talk to him? Do you ask for a lawyer? What were your next steps once they try to talk
Well,
to you?
that's so funny because we watch so many cop shows that we start thinking that we know all these fools tactics and we know what the fuck they're gonna say and we know what the hell they're thinking and I that was me when I got busted. I didn't ask for a lawyer because that
You have 60 seconds remaining.
makes you look guilty, which I didn't want to seem guilty. So I told him I would talk to you. Yeah, I mean, I got no,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
because it's in my rights. They have to ask me if I want a lawyer present or if I want to waive my right to have a lawyer present and talk to them. So I told them, I'm cool, I'll talk to you, I got nothing to hide, and yeah, that's when they started asking me, where were you June, well, of this year? Well, I was all like, I don't know, I don't remember, that happened so long ago. Let me call you back, eh?
Okay, I'll be here waiting.
All right.
And I want to go ahead and thank the audience for tuning in. He's going to go ahead and give me a call back. It shouldn't be too much longer before our call connects again, and then we'll continue with the interview. So right now he's just giving us the rundown on how he was apprehended after 10 years from committing a crime. How forensics were used to help and piece together this murder case, or this murder mystery cold case. And if anybody missed it, his crimey was his sister.
This call is now being recorded.
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Alejandro Romero.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Okay, Alejandro, the mic is all yours.
Okay. Yeah. So, um, they asked me where was I at. I just told them I didn't remember. I don't know. It's been so long, and they were just asking questions of that sort until they told me, well, you know, your crime already told us everything. So it really doesn't matter which, because now at this point he's getting upset, because it's not going the way they planned it, you know. Um, and they tell me, oh, well, your crime, it really doesn't matter what you say because your crime already confessed to everything. You know what I mean? Bottom line, you're gonna be somebody's bitch in prison. I was all like, that kind of got a reaction out of me. I remember telling them, I was all like, I will never be the bitch that you already are. So I mean, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I know, I mean, when I think back to that day, because the first 2 years, that's all I would think about. How everything had played out and whatnot. But you know, I think that got them to, okay, that um we hooked them. You know what I mean? When I give them that reaction, because any little reaction that you give, they already assume guilt. You know what I mean? Even though if that had nothing to do with the actual play that we were talking about, just because he talked about I was going to be somebody's bitch in prison, got a reaction. So any reaction to them, automatically they assume, oh yeah, this was guilty. You know. And then what at that moment I asked them, I told them, oh, I don't believe you. My sister, why would she say that if nothing happened? You know what I mean? Like, if she said anything, it's just you guys putting words in her mouth, um,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
just agreeing with you because probably you're over there harassing her or something. So I asked them, I want to talk to my sister, and that was another mistake I did because they brought her in, and you know, before they brought her in, I remember thinking to myself like, what to ask her without incriminating myself, And I remember telling my sister like, what the hell are you doing? What the hell did you tell these people, eh? Why do they think that we did this? Oh, and she started rambling. And mind that when they arrested my sister, she was like, she wasn't really coherent. She was under the influence. She hadn't slept in days because my sister messed around with methamphetamine. And she, I know that she hadn't slept in days. And the night prior that when they went to arrest her, she had gone to the house. And I let her in. She was drunk, like gone. And she was like rambling on, like dumb stuff, you know what I mean? So I just told her, shut up, man, go lay down, go to sleep, you know? And I gotta go to work tomorrow. I was pissed off that she had woke me up at 3 in the morning to go that night to the house. So when they arrested her, she was still like out of it, but not enough to, because when they arrested her, they asked her the same thing they asked me. Um, want to have a lawyer present, or you want to waive the right and talk to her? First, before she waived the right, she said, "Yeah, I want a lawyer. I'm not saying nothing till I have a lawyer." So even though she wasn't in the right state of mind, she was still able to think rightfully, like I guess, think properly to know to ask for a lawyer. So when she said, "Oh, you know what? They stopped asking questions and left her alone." I guess when time passed and voluntarily on her own, she told them, "You know what? Okay, I'll talk to you." Right, and that's when she told them everything, and because they were telling me the truth, she actually did say like told everything. She told I think on our dog and life and shit. She told on our grandma. She told, even mentioned people that weren't even involved in this shit. It just brought up all kind of stuff up. And And I didn't find this out till later after that my family saw the video of her testimony when she was in the police station. But yeah, she I asked them to bring her in, and I'm asking her these questions. What are you doing? What did you tell them? What do you think we did this? And she's going on about, oh, they know everything, Alex. They know everything. Um, they already knew, and but I didn't tell them nothing. She's just rambling on like all kind of nonsense, right? So I tell her, just shut up. Whatever you do, just shut the fuck up. And I think that was another thing that I messed up at, because now I'm telling her to shut up, not to tell nothing, not to say anything no more, because all you're doing is getting us in trouble. Well, I guess when they got what they wanted, they came and took her out. I think that's Charles. Um, they came and put her out, and the cop came in. Oh no, I still in. They came in, took her out, and ended up. That's when the I'm trying to remember the detective name, the main detective. I can't remember, but he was all like, okay, well, bottom line, he was all like, turn around. Uh, that was when officially I was arrested for first-degree murder. My original charges were first-degree murder, kidnapping, robbery, uh, and discharge in a wild home with the intent to kill or cause great bodily injury.
So I have a question from the audience. Bolan wants to know, how old were you? How old are you right now, and how long have you been down for?
I'm uh, I'm 44 years old, and I'm going on 14 years birthday. Well, yeah, basically 14 years.
All right, thank you for answering that question. And then I had a question, but it's totally slipping my mind right now, and hopefully it comes to me soon. So, so you get okay. So, where did your where did your crime take place? What county was it in?
Orange County, Santa, in the city of Santa Ana.
So you get booked, and you're on your way back to Theo Lacey, but this time it's you got some
Yeah,
heavy duty charges coming your way.
Georgia. Yeah.
Okay, and I remember what the question I was going to ask you was, uh, why did they charge you with kidnapping?
Or because um, anytime you move a person more than 2 feet against their will, it's kidnapping. And there was one, two, there was 6 people in there. I think 6 or 7 people in there, and two of them were upstairs in the shower. They were, I guess, they were a couple. They were in the shower, so they were already done showering. They were already dressed and everything. They were just, I guess, finishing up, but because they were in there, and I was like, we were in the process to get controlling the scene, tying everybody up. I ended up kicking the door down from the shower, and um, at gunpoint I told the 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 vato and his wife to go down, like go downstairs, go down to the living room and sit down with everybody else. I came right behind them with gunpoint. So just a mere fact that from the first person that when we went in, that person that opened the door and we moved them from that spot onto the middle of the living room, that was already kidnapping. So I had I had kidnapping for each of the persons that were in there.
So you hit county, and what's the process like? Do you go in there, go to court? Do you take a deal? What are they offering you, or or do you take it all the way to jury trial?
Well, I went all the way to trial. I went all the way to trial. I ended up taking a deal because, see, they didn't have nothing on me, right? Like I said, the cop tried saying that
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
they tried saying that they had my fingerprints in the crime scene, but that was a lie. Um, the only thing they had on me was my sister's testimony, and my sister was going to take a stand. My family was going to take a stand on me, against me. So when I got arrested, you know, I was in the county for over 4 years fighting my case, uh, dragging on. Of course, you go through the what is your arraignment, which is where you plead guilty, not guilty, and then after that it's pre-trial. No, it's preliminary, and then pre-trial, and then it's trial. Those are like the four stages of court. Uh, Arraignment is, like I said, when you go in there, plead not guilty or guilty. Uh, Prelim is where they gather up all the evidence and decide whether they have a case on you or not. And I got the only thing that they had on me was my sister's testimony when she got arrested, and out of the victims all the victims that were in there, they only had found four of the victims, and these four victims that were there, two of them pointed me out in a picture lineup, and on my crime meet, they had the DNA sample. They had all the victims pointing her out, and they had her own testimony saying that she had done it. Right, so halfway through the halfway through with us going to court, about like a year and a half late into, she decides to sever our cases. Sever is separate us, so we no longer go to court together, but have each of us go individually to court as individual charges. Like we had the same charges, but now we're going separately to court, and this was because it was a tactic that her lawyer had, that they wanted to use her to testify against me, and they couldn't do that if we were going to court together, because it would be a conflict on their case, because by her testifying against me, she'll be testifying against her own self. So they had to uh, they had to separate us for that reason. And I did not know that. My lawyer kept on telling me that my family was going to take the stand on me, and I did not believe it, because my family would go visit both of us, and they would ask her, and she would be, no, no, I'm not doing that. They're lying the whole time, even up to this day.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Even up to this day, if you go to ask her, are you planning on testifying on your brother? She will tell you no. She told that to my family, and she was stuck with it. But I know the truth, because when I started my trial, the moment they called her to the stand, that's when I knew I was done. So that's when I decided to take a deal instead of losing it in jury trial and getting life without parole. I decided to take 25 to life. Let me dial you back.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And if you're just tuning in right now, we're actually live right now. He's gonna go ahead and call me back. These calls only last for 15 minutes for whatever reason, and they automatically disconnect. I'm assuming because probably it caused issues within the prison population if they wouldn't automatically cut off these calls. But now in some of these prisons, they actually have tablets and whatnot, so they're able to jump on these phones or the tablet pretty much whenever they want, which is really convenient. So that's what's happening in this case here. I'm gonna go ahead and ask him a few more questions, and after this call, we're probably gonna stop recording or streaming, and we'll probably have to conclude either tomorrow or within the next few days, because his journey just doesn't end when he gets sentenced and ends up going to prison. It continues. And once again, if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask them, and I'll go ahead and as soon as we get a moment, I'll go ahead and read off the questions.
This call is now being recorded.
This is Global Tel-Link. You have a prepaid call from
Alejandro Romero.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
So thank you for calling me back. I have a question from our audience, but before I ask you this question, so after this call here, is it okay with you if we continue our interview either tomorrow or the following day?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just because unfortunately, I mean, these interviews or these stories, you can't be. It's not gonna happen within like 15 minutes or an hour or two. Normally, they are very long interviews.
Yeah.
So it's always gonna take more than one sitting. And I'm pretty sure you got stuff going on in the prison, and then I got my life out here. So we'll go ahead and continue another day. But till then we'll go ahead and continue it, and we'll go ahead and try to get as much as we can in the next 15 minutes as possible. So the question I have right here from Digler Bolden, he's asking, has he spoken with his sister since? So do you have any contact with your sister?
No, I don't. I would say like maybe the first 4 or 5 years, I was really not angry at her. I was disappointed, like hurt, really, because of what she did, right? And because me and her, I mean, I got 7 other siblings, but me and her were like the closest because me and her had the same dad. We were like full blood brother and sister. Where my other brothers and sisters were half brothers because we had the same mother but different father. And even though my biological father was not in the picture, to me, my pops that raised me, he's my father. He's my pops because he raised me. But the fool that made me, he never been in the picture, so to me, he's not my pops. My pops is the man that raised me. But so me and her have the same father, and so we had that connection all our lives. We grew up and close, and it hurt when she did this. I didn't think she would ever do it, especially because she told me through my face that she apologized for what she said in the radio, and she told me from here on out, don't worry about it. It's like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm not going to say nothing. Whatever happens, happens. We had came to that agreement. So like the first 4 years, that I came upstate after I was hurt, right? And I didn't want nothing to do. I actually I kind of like the thought crossed my mind because like all my family were upset and they wanted to stop talking to her, and I wanted like so badly to tell them, you know what, fuck her, like don't fuck with her, don't call her, don't accept her calls, don't send her mother nothing. But I couldn't do it. At the end of the day, like I said, she's still our sister. She's still, she's still my parents' daughter. and I didn't want to do that to neither my family, and at the end of the day, I didn't want to do that to her, you know. But after like my 5th year, I tried reaching out, and it in prison you cannot write to another prisoner. You have to get approved to write to another prisoner, and usually they approve you. It's either going to be a immediate family member or uh, your wife or your kids, brothers, sisters. No cousins, no nephews, no nothing like that. They don't care about that. But if you want to write to your wife, your father, mother, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, they'll allow it. So I tried getting that approved, but it turned out that she's supposed to be mad at me. Why? I do not know. I think it has to do with the fact that, you know, the resentment that my family hold against her, and I think she blames me for that. But it's okay. I know that I know that I didn't I didn't try to do nothing against her. So you know, I've forgiven her now. I've forgiven her. I'm already at peace with it. I accept it. I know what I did. Um, um, you know, I apologize to my victims' family members. I know that it wasn't my apology was not going to bring their loved one back, and it was not going to bring them back to life or bring, you know. I know that they might never forgive me. I might never. If it were me, I would never forgive me. But I apologize, and I wanted to apologize to my sister too, but she hasn't given me that opportunity. Uh, so at the end of the day, no, I haven't been able to have that contact with her.
And what kind of sentence or deal did they give your sister?
Same, because she went to trial thinking that she was going to beat it. I don't know why she thought she was going to beat it. Um, she had given she lost a jury trial, and if you lose a jury trial, you get the maximum sentence. In our case, was either death penalty or life without possibility of parole. But the DA had at the end, at first was like seeking the death penalty, but changed her mind. I mean, I think he changed his mind was because he saw that in the future the death penalty was going to be abolished. So um, I think that's why he did it. So he just sought life without parole. And because she lost in jury trial, she was going to get life without parole. And they offered her 25 to life for taking the stand on me. So she ended up getting the same thing as I did.
And during this time, you said you spent like about 5 years in county jail
This
fighting your
call
case,
and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
or going through going through the motions in court. Whether it's doing dry runs or them postponing it and just dragging it out as long as they can.
Hmm.
What's the atmosphere in Santa Ana County Jail at this time? What's going on? Are there any issues within the unit you're in, or how are things running in the county jail at this time?
Well, um, it was as every time, not to put, Orange County, you know, like not to put them down. I mean, there's a lot of good homies from Orange County, a lot, but the politics over there are a little like behind LA, and they were, I don't know, it felt like they were still trying to like catch up. You know what I mean? When I first got busted, I landed in Theo Lazy at P module, and in that time, it was considered like the most active or the most popping module. They used to call it political P. and because there was always something cracking there. Um, but it was like any county, wherever you county you go to, um, same thing, eh? Everybody's somewhat trying to keep it maintained because everybody's fighting their cases. Where I was at, everybody was at least half of them were fighting life cases, and the rest of them were fighting double digits. Um, so I mean, like anywhere else, shit cracks. Every, you had to be there, but deep down inside, everybody's like hoping that nothing cracks because while fighting your case, it's like you don't want to be stressed out about fighting a life case and then have to go to court with all kind of more violence on your jacket. You know what I mean? But it was, as always, I could say, it was nothing changes. The only thing that changes is the faces and people and faces, but the atmosphere and the environment is always the same.
So let's go back to the day when you get sentenced. Well, obviously you take a deal, so you
This
know,
call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
you know what you're gonna be. You know what you have coming your way. But once you hear it from the jury, and I'm not sure if the family came to speak and whatnot. How did all that go, and mentally how did it affect you?
Well, well, okay. Like you say, I already knew what was coming, right? Because prior to being sentenced, I had signed the papers months before when the deal was offered to me. Um, and even though and I know I've heard this from anybody that's doing life right now. Even though you know what's coming, when it does happen, it's like if you weren't even expecting. It's like you weren't ready for it. It's like, oh man, it's the hardest thing to explain. That the first time, well, no, but I remember I went back to my cell after I got sentenced. I even told my cellie, hey, you're gonna hear a grown man cry right now, man. So just look the other way, eh? Just don't mind it, eh? I fucking sobbed like a little kid. I ain't embarrassed to say it, you know what I mean? Because anybody that's got in life, I guarantee you, if didn't cry out openly, they shed tears when their cellie was asleep or when they weren't looking. You know what I mean? Because uh, getting sentenced to life is not something easy to swallow, eh? And um, and it wasn't until the day that I got sentenced. Because even all the way fighting my case, even when I signed the papers, it was still wasn't as bad. But uh, even besides that, the family, that me being a family man at the time already, having kids and a wife, my way of thinking was already like in a different state. I was in a different state of mind. I cared more now. You know what I mean, when I was young, then yeah, I give a fuck. You know what I mean? Everybody's doing dirt. And if you end up fucking putting someone in the dirt, well, it's better him than me. You know what I mean? That's our way of thought growing up. That's our way of seeing things, scandalous. And when that crime happened, that was my way of thinking. Yeah, I didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Because I know that if we would have got a hold of me, he probably would have killed me. You know what I mean? But when I got sentenced and the family was there and seeing them how they were, how they were crying, yeah, I'll never forget that. I'm thankful that I was able to, even though I know they didn't want to hear it, but I was grateful that I had the opportunity to express my condolences and my apologies. And like I said, even though I know that they might never forgive me, um, I really was sorry at the moment, and up to this moment, I still am feel sorry for taking their loved one from them. Because I found out that he had a son, and that kid grew up without a father. I took his father. I took his mother's son. I took his wife's husband.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Okay, and I really appreciate you taking the time and answering all these questions. And this is going to conclude our interview for the time being, and we're going to go ahead and continue either tomorrow, the following day, or whenever Alejandro has some free time available, and we'll go ahead and get through his story, because obviously it doesn't end there. He's in prison now, and that's a whole different journey there. Once you get into that system.
Alrighty then.
All right, I really appreciate it, and we'll be in touch. I'll go ahead and send you a message so we could set something up.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan, Jay.
All right. Thank you.
Have yourself a good day. Everybody else that's listening too, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Have a good day, you as well.
All right. Bye.
All right. For anybody that's listening right now, at 6 o'clock, I'm gonna go ahead and start. I'm gonna go ahead and interview Ricky Black. So we'll be back online in the next 10 minutes or so, as soon as he calls me and we're able to connect. So just go ahead and keep an eye out. And thank you guys. I'm reading your comments. I really appreciate them, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut the stream now.